talk about today is the power of storytelling. In fact, in this workshop, you are going to become the storytellers yourselves. And we're going to be having a very hands-on interactive session, and you'll go through a series of exercises with our amazing writer-producer friends from Hollywood, who will share with you some of the most important techniques they use for creating compelling stories.
We're going to do an exercise that I've done in graduate school and lots of writing workshops. We're going to write at white hot speed. Now, what does that mean? That means I'm going to time you for 5 minutes. Don't worry, no one is going to see your paper. You're never going to have to tell anybody about what you did. Once the timer starts, you write. And by that I mean you do not let that pen leave the paper. If part of what you're saying is, oh my God, I hate this woman, I wish she would have gone away, why didn't I eat her breakfast this morning? That's fine. Content is not important, just write. What happens is you just keep writing, and things will start to come up. What you've just done is what a lot of writers I know, and certainly private practice writers refer to as the vomit pass, which is where you're just throwing stuff out there and it doesn't really matter what it is. What happens with this, and what will happen with yours, is that out of all the blather, your subconscious is actually kicking up things that are important and vivid and things that we need to take a look at.
Structure is where so much of great writing goes wrong. So now you've written a little story, or maybe it's not even a story, so we're going to find the story within it. Because you're going to find that you have a lot of details in there that are great and that lend itself to a bigger story, and a lot of details that are totally unnecessary and completely irrelevant.
One good question to ask at the beginning is why now? Why are you telling the story now?
As long as you have your beginning and your ending, you can kind of sort of fill all those details in, and you can either work from the back or work from the front, but eventually you're going to meet in the middle. And I think that's a great way to think about it.
And writing is rewriting, which is an old adage that we always say. Writing is rewriting. You keep going. Your first draft is not going to be, it's better than your vomit draft, but it's not going to be your final draft.
Well, hopefully you've thought about what your emotional through line is. And so you might have a fabulous detail that has nothing to do with that. Toss it. In the writer's room, we call this killing your babies. You're all doctors, so maybe you want to call it something different. It's a Hippocratic oath. But it's all about getting rid of the stuff you don't need.
Now we're going to break into small groups and keep that emotion, because this is exactly what you're trying to evoke in creating your own stories.
The first scene in a funeral, well, there's these reporters reporting the funeral.
Maybe we can go with the sister thing. Like, my sister did have cervix cancer, and it is a terrible disease, but this is what we've learned about it.
Maybe a partera, someone that gives birth to children at home, a midwife. I'd like to know who is our viewer.
But you are dealing with information that puts you on an awareness about the potential that you could develop cancer.
I'm asking medical questions because I need to know from my story what the span of my story is.
We'd like to invite you one by one to come up and share the story that your group created.
So our story starts out with Maria, who has just come from the doctor, and she learns that she's HPV positive.
Well, it is true. You know, if she had had the vaccine, perhaps she could have lived. We need to support the HPV vaccine. More women will live.
The group decided that while these were all important points, the way to hook people in was to make it personal, was to give the girls' point of view on this, of their fear of their classmate who had died, and oh my God, is that going to happen to me?
Creativity takes courage, and you were all incredibly courageous today. This was amazing.